Alrighty, welcome back to the Lex and Lace podcast. Yeah, I took a little bit of a break, but we are here today. We're back. Um, I wanted to take a break because I think 15 episodes was enough for the first season, truthfully. But I don't know, we're back, so something fresh. New ideas, new things to discuss within the realm of law, fashion, and AI. And in relation to that, I have a guest today. Guest, please introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And how did we meet?
Hello, everyone. So, my name is Gift Olanpekun, and I'm a final year law student at the University of Liverpool. I'm also an aspiring barrister and the founder and CEO of GLG, which stands for God Legally Gifted. So, we basically do two main things, which are mentorship. So, we merge people from the legal industry to university students from underrepresented backgrounds, and we also do events to make sure that people or students are aware of what area of law they want to practice. We do things revolving around workshops and career development programs as well. So I'm passionate about three main things, which are law, diversity, and having a growth mentality. So at the heart of my passions is representation, which I believe is one of the reasons why I want to become a barrister in England and Wales. So that's me.
Yeah,
And
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. And the way I and Alexandra met was on LinkedIn, basically. So
Yeah.
it was a very fantastic meeting. I can't lie today, but I messaged her, like precisely saying, "Hello, Alexandra, it's nice connecting with you." That she replied.
Yeah, I
Then
remember that actually. Yeah, it's true.
our conversation kicked off from there. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, no, I've just like kept up with Gift like so many times. So it's like after I got her connection request, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I kept seeing like everything she did. I was like, okay, this person is so impressive. I was like, I need to have her on the pod. I have like so many questions about like what like obviously we're gonna talk about it more in depth, but what sort of how do you, I think one of my main questions, how do you juggle it all? Because obviously you're a student, like University of Liverpool, like what sort of led you to, first of all, what like even just the first question I have is what made you want to do law? I think that's just the main thing. Because everyone
I
has their
see.
own reasons, right?
Yes, yes, amazing. Thank you so much for that question, Alexandra. I wanted to study law because of right from when I was young. My parents used
Hmm.
to see me settling disputes sort of with my siblings, and I used to sort of intermediate. Like I used to go in between them and say, "This is not the situation right now. What is the solution to this? This is the problem, and
That's
this is the solution." So that's
wow.
like a mindset I believe a lawyer
Mhm.
has, representation. They do represent their client, especially the most vulnerable people. Because when you're arguing with someone, you're not at your best behavior or your best self.
Mhm.
So I
For sure.
believe the ability to be able to step up or step in to that situation and sort of create a solution, that's sort of suggestive as to why I want to become a barrister or a lawyer, why I want to study law. So another reason is because of I
Mhm.
see in the legal industry because I do lots of extracurriculum activities and going for events. And one thing I do
Mhm.
notice is that there are no so many people from different backgrounds in terms of
That's very true.
inclusivity.
Yeah,
Yes,
I should
you
be very
see
difficult with
lots of
that.
different, you see lots of people, but you don't see people like yourself
Yes.
in leadership roles or
Mm-hmm.
inviting students for an event or things like that. So that can be very demotivating to different people. especially when you're from a different background, you're coming from a different country, international student to be specific. You don't, when you don't see people like yourself doing some things, you don't feel motivated sometimes to do it. So
Yeah.
I'm the person, I like to see myself as the person that rises up to challenge that by creating more inclusivity, which is one of the reasons why I started GLG as well, to promote
Mhm.
inclusivity in the legal industry. So yeah, those are the two main reasons.
Oh, I love that. I really love how you were like, you know what? I'm not seeing anyone else do this. Let me be the one to do it, and then just like bring everyone on with me. Because I think sometimes what happens is that, you'll be the only one, and then it'll just be you, and then like you won't know how to convince others to be like, you know what, you can actually take this path as well. So I really
Exactly.
love that. So, okay. Um, Before we pass on to the next segment, what are we going to be looking into today? What are we going to be getting into?
So today we're going to be looking into various topics, especially around inclusivity and leadership. And the reason is because of, like I said earlier, when you don't see people like
Mhm.
yourself in leadership, you're not more likely to feel that you can be in leadership or in leadership position.
100%.
And it comes from an area of relatability because if
Yeah,
you see people like yourself doing things that you think is extraordinary, you're more likely to believe uh is something you can do, is something that can become your reality. So
for sure.
yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about inclusivity, about my journey regarding that, and relatability, things like that.
Perfect. Let's just get into it. So, yeah, let's get into the next segment. And we are back. All right. So, what are we getting into first? Inclusivity, your journey. What do you wanna? What is it you wanna get into first?
I want to talk about my journey so that people can understand how inclusivity and relatability and leadership is part of everything I do, basically.
Yeah, because when we
So
were first, like,
yeah.
but yeah, we were first talking, and I was like, okay, I didn't really know, like, I knew you from LinkedIn, but I didn't really know like your full story. So, like, yeah, by all means, please tell us your story. I'm very intrigued.
Okay, so talking about my story, I think I've done this so many times now, but
Right, you do so many events and things. You must be so tired of talking.
yeah, but I love sharing my story because we're
Um,
from different backgrounds and different
True.
things shapes our mentality and the way we think and behave. So sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when you tell your story, it gives people hope, gives people
Yeah.
that mindset that they can do anything they set their mind to do. And you just have to develop the mindset of, sometimes you go down, but you can definitely come up back. No
Mm-hmm.
matter where you find yourself, no matter the situation, you are the only limiting factor to yourself. So, more about my
True.
story.
Go ahead.
I came to the UK, England, specifically
Mm-hmm.
Cambridge, at the age of 16, and it was okay, but it was scary at the same time because coming at that age, you don't really know anything. I was really naive now that I think of it, in terms of me not having a mentor to sort
Mm-hmm.
of tell me these are the way things work in the UK, especially when you're
Yeah.
from a different country. It's somehow like
True.
difficult to be able to navigate your path. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that helped me was having my sister here. So I think
Oh, at
the
least,
time
right? Yeah.
the time she came here, I think she was 18, thereabout. She was an adult. So it was really, really good to see someone that is way older than you to sort of tell you this is the way, things should be done as an adult and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But it was like she was my mentor at that point in time. But there are times that she too she had some difficulties navigating her partner and stuff. So coming here at the age of 16 was mind blowing for me. It's totally
Perfect. I got a
normal.
question. It was like, wait,
Sorry?
where are you from in Nigeria?
So I'm from Lagos. I was born in Lagos, but my dad is from Ogun State.
Okay.
Basically. So I would say I'm from Ogun State and Lagos State.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. A little bit of both. A little
Yes,
bit of both.
yes,
Okay.
exactly. So I was 16 because it was that same year because I came to college at January basically. So my
Wow.
birthday month, I don't want to tell you my birthday date, but my birthday month is January. So then I already
Okay. Oh
clocked
yeah.
16. Then that
Okay.
same year, 2023, I can't forget that year. That same year, I
Mhm.
got admission to University of Liverpool. So the next month after my graduation month. And
Yeah.
it was mind blowing because before that, my friends were like, oh, gift, you can't get admission to university until after like 1 year. That means you have to take a gap year. And in my own family, there's nothing like a gap year. I've not
Yeah, as in
heard
I
of
was like,
it.
this idea of gap year, what are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna even justify that to your parents? Like, yeah, I want a year to just like
Exactly.
figure out my life, and it's like, what?
Exactly. And that's something I got to understand in the UK that people take gaps here. I'm not
Mhm.
saying if you take a
Like,
gap year is bad or something, but in Africa, it's like, I don't
you're
think,
wasting time.
yes, yes, that's the way they see it. So, I got admission. I was very lucky, and by God's grace, I got admission to University of Liverpool that same year at the age of 16. First year was good. I loved it. You know, I was trying different things, new things, going for loads of events, checking out Handshake and Eventbrite, different events. I was just enjoying my life basically.
You're just enjoying your life. But like, were they like, did you go to like many networking events or just like uni, like typical like uni events?
I was going for both. I was
Fair.
going for both uni events and outside of uni events because something um where you can find events outside of university, I think Eventbrite is a really good place for that.
It
Because when
is.
you
That's
check it, you can see the location, can see the whether it's free or not, or you can see different things there, and you can sort of go for the ones that match your values and your mindset, everything. If it's about
hmm
law, if it's about real estate, if it's about different things. Uh, you can sort of find something substantial from there. So after my first year of going for all these events, both university events and outside uni events, I I went to my second year basically. I graduated from first year to second year, let me put it that way. So coming to
hmm
second year, I think things got a bit serious
They
in the
usually
sense that
do. They
yeah.
usually do.
Just in University of Liverpool, your first year is not really counted towards your major
Yeah,
grade.
no.
So
That's
I
one
use
thing
that.
which I found I mean, I didn't find it strange because that was the experience I was having, but other people are like, no, all of the years count, and I'm like, wait, what? All of your years count? That's
It,
crazy.
it's like it's really good in terms of like you finding your foot in uni. Because first year
That's
you don't really know
true.
what you're doing, but you're trying to do lots of things and see what works. Second year,
That's
you're a bit more stable, but you're still trying to push through.
figure
I
things
think
out.
because
Yeah.
that's where things get a bit tense. Because second year at the University of Liverpool is 30% of your total grade, and the
Yeah, really.
final year, yeah, and the final year is 70%.
70%.
So I had to focus more on my academics. But it was really helpful that I did lots of networking uh, activities in my first year because
Which
then I
is
could.
wild because a lot of first years don't do that. So that's why I was like, when I think we first connected when I was in my last year of uni. So I was like, this girl is in first year, but she's doing this and she's doing that. And I'm like, I mean, I had COVID uni, so my experience was a bit different, but I was still like, she's really I was like, damn, maybe that's what I should have been doing.
I think one thing that also helped me was my brother and my brother there. Because after my college, my brother was like, gift, you have to go on LinkedIn, you have to be posting, you have to be, it was
True.
also like my mentor at that time, and he's still my mentor till date.
Mm.
And it's like having people that can support you and see you fail and still keep on supporting you. I think
100%.
that's what most people need, and that's the area of mentorship. You can have someone as your legal mentor, you can have someone as your accountability partner, you can have different sort of mentorship. And I think that's what I realized earlier on. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I've been blessed to have. People
True.
that have gone before you and have seen which path is good, basically. So they just basically tell you it's easier, because if you know better, you will do better.
You will do better. Oh, that's so lovely. Oh, do you want to get
Yeah.
into the next segment? I can't wait to hear like wait more. What's
I
what's
think
up? What are you telling us? Do you want to continue our previous conversation or do you want to like move on to like and pivot onto something else?
I think the conversations sort of flows with one another. Yeah, so it's when I finished my second year, it was really good. I had a nice time, but it was quite challenging because at that point there's a lot of pressure from getting good grades, also applying for opportunities. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but my third year now. In fact, I'm a final year law student, so currently my third year. I think is really going on well. My first semester was phenomenal in the sense that I get to pick the modules I want to study,
Oh,
not
for
like
sure. Oh my God, yeah. What modules did you pick? I'm intrigued in like what area of law you want to practice in. I'm
so
very
in terms
intrigued.
of in terms of area of law with practice, and it's property law. I'm sure of property law
Mhm.
by for now, but maybe in the next a few months that might change. But for now, let me say property law because I like that property law is really it changes basically and it affects homeowners. And when we look at homeowners, we're looking at tenants, we're looking at landlords, which boils down to human
Mm.
beings, which boils down to people. Because if you take a look at it now, students are homeowners in terms of like being a tenant, or
Mhm.
being in student accommodation. People that work, maybe you're doing your early careers or things like that,
Mhm.
you must basically stay in a home. And there have been laws that the government have been looking to put in place, and bills that have been that will be passed this year in order to make sure that people are not paying a lot of money for houses. Because
For
sometimes
sure.
what happens is that when the landlord, okay, so a tenant is meant to owe stay in a property for the maximum of 990 years. So it could be lots of tenants, but the property is meant to be held down for 990 years before the tenants stop paying the landlord money, so they can stay in the house for free, basically. So that's on that Leasehold and Freehold Act 2024
Mm.
and 2025, basically.
Okay.
But what the landlords tend to do is to jack up the prices of the house, especially when it's close to 990 years, because they know that they know that tenants will not be allowed to stay in that property. And they know that tenants will not be able to pay the ground rent again. So tenants can stay in the property, but they will not pay ground rent after the 990 years. So they jack up the price when it's at the end of towards the end of 990 years so that they can be able to make more profit. And what the government
Mhm.
is trying to do this year, 2026, is to make sure that there's a limited percentage at which they can increase the prices of the property
Yeah.
for so that they don't
Okay.
unnecessarily jack it up and make people
That's
stranded. Yeah.
that's so technical. So wait, you're telling, okay, you said 990 years.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously the government knows no one's gonna live that long, right? So it's a
Yes.
thing whereby so the lease does this have to do it's it's like we're going back to land law here where I'm like, oh God, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe someone like the land law module. Listen, I enjoyed it,
Yes.
but I don't know if I ever thought about going into property. So wait, you're telling me that
Hmm.
they've taken this law because So what? It's like not so the is it this idea that it's like the king's land and the lease that the king has given to the people to be able to lease that land is 990 years. Is that what you're talking about? So when that time is over, they
Yes,
then are able. Is that what you're telling me? Because I'm like, wait a minute, no one is gonna live 990 years. So I'm trying to understand where the link between that is. Can you
so
like
yeah. So previously, there's this idea that the kings own all the property and all the lands and
in the
everything.
yeah, UK
Yes,
royalty,
but
yeah.
but the reason why they put the 990 years is that they don't want people to have, they want there to be circulation of funds, basically. Because when people own a
Mhm.
property, previously there's a tendency that you can own it for forever, basically. So when they cap it at 990 years, they want people to be able to, other people to be able to have the property, basically. So it doesn't
Okay.
mean like a tenant would live in a property for 990 years. Of
990
course,
years.
nobody's gonna live for that long.
Right? I was like, wait a minute, this does hold on. Am I
It
like
just
imagining things?
it just means like there can be lots of different tenants. It just means that tenants must stay in that property for 990 years. It doesn't have to be one tenant specifically that stays for
Right.
990 years. There must be tenants that must have contracts with the landlord
For now,
for
yeah.
that property basically for 990 years. So
Okay.
it's like people must stay in that place, and after 990 years, the last tenants that are in that place at the end of 990 years, they can be able to take the property, and they don't pay something called ground
Oh,
rent anymore.
mhm. Ground rent. But what the landlord does is raise that rent so that desensitizes them from wanting to extend the lease. Uh-huh. Is that
Yes,
what it is? Okay.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was. So wait a minute. See, no, now I have like so many technical legal questions, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is not what we were supposed to talk about. But I'm like, wait, this applies England and Wales or the whole of the UK?
I believe, I think it's in England and Wales specifically because it's concerning the Leasehold and the Freehold Act 20, Reform Act 2024 and 2025, but I'm not
Mhm.
sure it's all over the UK. But I think it's in England and
Okay.
Wales,
That makes a lot more
basically.
sense. Yeah, I like interrupted. We went on a tangent about such a technical legal thing. I was like, wait a minute. I interrupted you. You want to
No,
do property law. Please
yes.
continue and tell us why this inspired you.
I believe this is fast way because it affects literally everyone, everyone on planet that
Mhm.
lives in a property. Basically, it's basically affect everyone, and for the fact that people are on fixed income and the landlord
Mhm.
can jack up the prices at any time they want, I feel like it's very unfair. So it goes back to
Yeah.
the point of representation and inclusivity, because if people are on fixed income, it means that it's not easy for them to suddenly have the money that the landlord
Mhm.
would start asking for. And what that means is that this law that the government has put in place is making people more and more like
Empowered.
um more and more less empowered, because then they stand the risk of losing their homes.
Mhm.
Because when you give the landlord the right to be able to increase the price, they can do whatever they want. But there's a bill,
100%.
I think the draft of Common Old and Freehold Act, or I think bill
Mhm.
that 2026 has been put in place, that would make tenants empowered, basically, like you say. So
Mhm.
that bill is to cap the amount of money or the percentage that the landowners can increase the price of the property for.
Gotcha.
Because it becomes unfair when they can do whatever they want. There's too much autonomy given to the
100%. The
landowners.
landlords. So
Yeah.
true. Hey, I love that. I love how you are like, you found something that you like liked, and you're like, listen, given the values that like I have, I see this as an opportunity for me to be able to make an impact. I really love that. My
Thank
God.
you very much. We
Please, we're
student,
back. Come on. Let's hear it.
we student watching listening to this rather, or like people from different backgrounds or different work life, basically practice areas watching
Mm-hmm.
this. I think the idea of leadership and confidence comes with competence as well,
Mm-hmm.
because the moment you're seen as a leader, you must also be competent and you must also be confident at what you do as well. Because if you're not a good leader, then your follower or your audience, let me put it that way,
Yeah.
or follow would not be able to gain more. The idea of you being a leader is for you to empower people, not strip them of what they
Mm-hmm.
already have. And in today's world, I see so many leaders, so many people in different roles, even at university and beyond, they tend to miss opportunities that benefit the people that they are leading. They tend to focus more on their own development, their own self. I know being a leader
Mm-hmm.
is, you have to develop yourself before you can develop other people. That's very true.
Exactly.
But you should also be concerned that you developing yourself does not stop you from developing other people. And you developing other people does not stop you from developing yourself. And I just feel like those two go hand in hand, confidence, competence, and even leadership, because those two make you a great leader. Once you're competent, you know what you're talking about. Once
Mm-hmm.
you are confident, you can walk into any room and communicate whatever you know and believe to be true. And I believe that's where leadership comes from, because there's so many people that know so many things, so many people that are supposed to be in a position of leader,
Leadership,
of
but
a
they don't know
leader.
how to communicate it, right?
Exactly, they don't know how to communicate it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where everything falls apart. Because if you know things and you can communicate it, nobody's gonna hear you. You just be like noise, empty. You say empty bar makes the loudest noise, but in this case, you be like noise that is sounding because people don't understand what you're saying. Especially
Interesting.
for international students or people from different countries, sometimes you don't understand the British language. Let me put it that way. British language way of they communicate sometimes is something you have to learn. The life
Mm-hmm.
is a
That's
learning
interesting.
process. Being exactly being a leader, you have to learn things, and I believe that's what I'm still currently doing, because I believe in life you learn. There's nothing like you've stopped learning. The moment you stop learning, that's the moment you start to go down the drain.
Yeah, things go down the drain. I guess my question thus then is, so you consider yourself a leader, so it's like, how do you lead people? I think that's my question in everything that you're saying now. So what do you do? Like, do you consider yourself a mentor? Because
Yes.
I know that Geo, I think it's Geo
Like,
legally gifted, right? Yeah, you guys do mentorship. Are you also a mentor? Are you a
yes.
mentee? Like, what? Yeah, how are you leading?
So I've been privileged to mentor over 20 students,
Wow.
and I've done that through different programs, through my program as well, Geo Legally Gifted, Go Legally Gifted. And I've also mentored people through the Diversity in Law program that we do at
Mhm.
University of Liverpool, and through the School of Law and Social Justice peer mentorship program. So they basically connect you to someone that is a year lower than you, basically. So, for
Mhm.
example, when I was in my second year, they connected with me with mostly first year students. And one of the reasons why I mentor people is because of I've also been mentored. I currently have a mentor
Mhm.
from a chamber, and it has
Wow.
been the
So yeah,
best
you
decision
want
I've
to
made.
be yeah, you're connected. You're like, you already, your foot is in the door. You said, yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
I want to be a barrister.
Yes,
Damn.
exactly.
Okay.
So, I believe if you're a mentor, you should also have a mentor. It's very necessary because
100%.
when you're pouring into a cup, so many times we forget that we are pouring. And once you're pouring,
Mm-hmm.
there's a likelihood that you get drained because you're pouring
Yeah.
into people. But if you have someone pouring into you as well, you'll be refreshed, basically. So I've been mentored in the past. I've done this of mini privileges. So there's something called mini privileges where you basically shadow a barrister. So you
Mm-hmm.
work with a
Mm-hmm.
barrister, you go to court, you listen to different cases, real life cases, and
Yes,
you
true.
get to see the judge, the way they make decisions on matters,
Mm-hmm.
and observe court practices basically. So I've been mentored in different areas, for interviews, for different things. When you see a leader, that person did not just emerge. They've gone through so many process of
Yeah, they had to
uh,
have they
e-
had their pitfalls, right, in that moment.
exactly, so many process of making, binding, forming, you know. So a leader don't just emerge. They have gone through all of these things, and sometimes it's not obvious to people. It's like when you see someone, you
Mm-hmm.
just believe, oh, this person is very good, but they've gone through so many things that have broken them and
That's
made them.
true.
So if you want to be a leader, this is to everybody listening to this now. If you want to be a leader, you must first ask one question, which
Mm.
is, what are the sacrifices you had to pay to be in this position? Because so many people go through a lot of things that, give them the ability and the confidence to be able to make that decision, to be able to do different things. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can ask that question and if you can get an answer from
Yeah.
them,
Mm-hmm.
then you can check yourself. Can you make the sacrifice or can you not? Because
Right.
that would determine,
That will
you know,
determine everything. For sure.
everything. Exactly.
Wow. But okay, I guess my question, you were talking about competence and confidence. What
Yeah.
about people who are just confident? No
Yeah.
competence, nothing. Because those people exist, unfortunately. So what are your thoughts on like that side of in the leadership space, especially in the legal leadership space? Because there's a lot of people who are just gonna, it's just a smoke and mirrors, essentially.
Yes, I would say if you're a confident person, I would see that as an unfair advantage. Use your unfair advantage because not so many people are confident. You have to use that. And when you see someone that is naturally confident, that is a raw talent. It's something you have to keep on working on. That's is like something like a potential. It's something you have to keep on working on to fit different environment you are at. So I see confidence as well, I don't know. I'm trying to look for the word, the exact word. I see confidence as a stepping stone because once you
Oh,
have the material, once you be able to, you're confident about it, people are more likely to believe you and follow
that's
you. Okay, let me give this example. There's so many people on the
mm-hmm.
internet or on Instagram that you see doing all sort of nonsense. But they're confident about it. They're confident enough to post it
To
out.
post it, sure.
Exactly. So that makes people follow them just because they're confident. So confidence is more of a stepping stone. Back to my own story. I started public speaking at the age of 14. I think 14 thereabout. I was hosting, I was
14, yes. Huh? Yeah,
14.
very
See,
so
I was
impressive.
speaking in front
Continue.
of hundreds of people at the age of 14. So
Speaking what?
yeah, yes. So when you're in that kind of environment, it forces you to sort of make yourself, basically, forces you to be more confident, forces you to grow up faster, forces you
That's
to
true.
learn things, and pick up things really easily. So that sort of taught me that gift. You have to learn things, you have to develop yourself because in this day and age, people don't
Mhm.
really look at how old you are anymore. People look at what you can bring to the table. And
Literally.
if you position yourself to
Mm-hmm.
someone that is an expert in a field, that's one thing my brother told me. If you position yourself to someone that is an expert in a field, people are willing to pay you for that. People are willing to go above and beyond
Beyond.
just because you know what you're doing, you know what you're saying, you know where you're at,
Mhm.
and you know where you want to go. And that's very, very simple. If you have a direction, people are willing to help you, people are willing to support you, people are willing to be trusting, basically. You just have to develop that confidence in yourself first and push it
Mhm.
out.
Push,
It's
and
same for
then
any.
you
Yeah,
also have to supplement it with that competence as well. Because like
exactly.
you said, like you were saying, confidence is only the stepping stone. You gotta do more to supplement, you know what I mean?
Exactly. You know,
Mm.
you have to
Yeah,
have
no.
confident supplementing, you have to form yourself, your mindset as well about things that has to change.
Mhm.
Because many times when you see people from a different country coming to the UK, you will
Mhm.
notice the mindset is totally different.
It
And you being
is.
a mentor, that's something you have to work on first. So many people might believe, oh, like the UK is a land full of resources, which is very true. But you have to develop your mindset that, okay, I'm coming to the UK. What can I do? How can I
Yeah.
point to people as well? They're full of resources, yes, but how can I give back? It's not about receiving, receiving, receiving all the time. It's about giving back because the more you give back, the more you grow. And that's very
Mhm.
true. The more you give back, the more you grow. Because anybody that you see stagnant, observe their
Mhm.
life, they don't give back. It's a principle. Anything you sow, you should reap. Anything you give out shall come back to you.
Shall come back to you.
So that's just what I've learned.
Okay. Thank you.
Basically. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful. I've loved listening to you today. I'm so inspired. I was feeling a little bit tired, but like now I'm like, oh my God, now I need to go do something. I'm like, whoa.
Thank you very much, Alexander. I
Yeah.
must say, your podcast, I mean, having an idea to start up a podcast and doing it actually is a very big step because so many people think of these things. Oh, I really need to start a podcast. I really need
Mhm.
to do this, but they don't actually start. And you doing this is a very fantastic thing, by the way.
Trust me,
You're
this
blessing so many
podcast.
people.
Thank you so much for that because this podcast has been like it was supposed to be myself and like my two other friends from law school and like no none of us never really got the confidence to start and then they were like, you know what, why don't you just start on your own? And I was like, you know what, I've been pressuring you guys for months to start, let me just do it on my own. So I just started and then like now I'm like supplementing that like that competence part of it where I'm like learning and trying to perfect things, especially
Exactly.
for like this new season that I want to put out. So I'm like it does take yeah, it took a long time for me to be like, okay, I'm ready to put myself out there. I'm ready now. But this has been in the works for a very long time. So I appreciate you recognizing that. But
No worries.
yeah,
I think
let's no, go ahead.
um I just wanted to say something, one more thing.
Yeah.
I think the sooner people realize that there are so many people waiting for them to just
Mm,
adhere to the calling, for them to respond to what they've been gifted for, or to work on their talent, basically, the
yeah.
sooner they are more likely to pick up things. And that's why resources like having a podcast, help people because people can learn from other people's experiences and know
Yeah.
that, oh, actually, there are lots of people actually waiting and seeking my help. They're waiting for me to respond to my calling. And as soon as I respond to that calling, I can be helped, basically. They can help other people, rather.
100%. I definitely agree with that. I'm also very much of the I'm a lecturer, so like sometimes students want they want a lot of your help, but I do always like tell my students, listen, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't tell me what
Exactly.
you need from me, how am I supposed to be able to help you? You know? So
Exactly.
it goes both ways, definitely. Definitely goes both ways. We have had a wonderful chat today. Thank you so much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate you coming on the pod, Gift. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
100%. What did you, yeah, like I want to thank you for just giving a lot of tips and tricks. I think, especially in this day and age, what I really liked was how you mentioned how, like, people come to the UK and they don't really know how to like position themselves, and having a mentor is good, but you also sort of talking about giving back to the community. I think, especially in this day and age where like maybe migration can be so difficult. People come to the
Yeah.
UK and they're a little bit lost on like how to go about integrating themselves into the community in order to, make a mark that they're maybe not able to make or have the opportunity to do back home. So I just really love that whole like concept that you had there of like, listen, if you give back, the community is gonna give back to you, and what you um what you sow is sort of what you reap. So I just really love that. So yeah, I just wanna thank you for coming on the pod, definitely. And like, yeah, like how did you find our conversation today?
I think it was fantastic. Even me as I'm speaking to you, it's like my spirit is opening, like I'm more eager basically to do more for people. And that's the thing about talking to people about your dreams, your passion. You're more likely to feel open to doing more basically. So that's the position I'm at. And thank you so much for inviting me. It has been such a fantastic ride.
100%. 100%. Yeah,
um
I knew you had tips for the for everybody out there. I was like, I need to get this girl on the pod. She has something that I see that I'm like, yeah, no, people need to hear this. I love her story. Your story is like unique, but also not unique at the same time, because so many students come to the UK, but not so many students do what you do. I'll
yeah,
say that.
thank
Not
you
many
very much.
people who migrate do what you do. So I was just there
Yeah,
like, I need to have you on the pod. I'd love to like hear your perspective. Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah. And like, apart from that, how are you feeling today in general?
I'm feeling amazing. I've not really done much today because today is just like my resting period. But I'm feeling energized after this podcast, Can do my assessment, my work now, I can focus because I've established day one tax
Oh,
of
wow.
body tax. Yeah.
Wow. You're already grinding again. Guys, it's a weekend. Please relax. I say that when I also have things to do. That's funny. But yeah, I just want to thank the listener, and I also want to thank you, Gift, for coming on the pod. And yeah, thank you for listening to this episode of the Lex and Lace podcast. I will catch you next week, essentially.